Good evening, you're watching Left, Right and Centre. I'm Vishnu Shom. On the programme tonight, the landfall process for Cyclone Biparjoy has started, powering winds at 125 kilometres per hour, gusting to 140 kilometres per hour and bringing heavy rainfall on the Gujarat coast. Let's bring you images of that now. The entire process is expected to continue till midnight. Biparjoy has been classified as a Category 3 very severe cyclonic storm. It's moving, as I mentioned, at 125 odd kilometers per hour, but it will gust to 140 kilometers. The worst is not over as yet. The eye of the storm is progressively making contact now with the shore, with the land. The eye of the storm itself doesn't have high winds, but it's the winds circling around the eye of the storm which is the huge concern. So we've seen the initial cyclone hit Gujarat, but when the cyclone actually comes into those affected areas, it will actually be a bit of a lull. However, it's when the rear of the cyclone continues to make progress inland that the maximum damage can take place. Let's go straight across to NDTV's Tanushree Pandit, who is on the ground reporting. Give us an idea of what's happening around you. Where exactly are you now, Tanushree?
Well, we are right now in Kachchh, where the landfall was initially supposed to happen, and as you rightly mentioned, the worst is not over yet. As per the IMD, the eye of the storm is going to hit the coast between 9:30 to 10, and that is when exactly the massive impact, the worst impact is going to happen. We of course are expecting that the impact is as less as possible, but if you see the wind speed, and I'm going to show you the visuals outside, it is massive. It's increasing, Vishnu, by each passing second. But right now we are inside the shelter home. About 200 to 250 people have been kept inside this shelter home. In fact, from cattle to people, and mostly women and children are here. We'll try and speak to them to get a word. दादा, अगर आप मुझे अपना नाम बता पाए तो।
मेरा नाम हसन जेबेन।
आपका कितना उम्र हो गया है?
40 वर्ष।
अच्छा, तो आप ये आज पहली बार तूफान देख रहे हैं गुजरात में, कि इससे भी पहले बहुत से इस तरीके के तूफान देखे?
कोई तूफान तो आवे ही छे, वरे आवे ही छे।
तो इस बार क्या ज्यादा नुकसान आप लोग को लग रहा है होगा?
ज्यादा लग रहा है।
ज्यादा लग रहा है। तो आप लोग कब से रह रहे हैं यहाँ पे?
3 दिन थे।
3 दिन हो गया। खाना पानी मिल रहा है आप लोग को?
खाना पानी सब मिल रहा है।
खाना पानी हो रहा है। आप लोग के जो कच्चे मकान हैं, क्या वो पूरी तरीके से टूट जाते हैं, ढह जाते हैं?
काने ओटा घरे तासी वणो त असा के खबर पए बेन।
टूट जाता है आप कह रहे हैं, तो आप लोग उसको किस तरीके से बनाते हैं? सरकार मदद करती है कि खुद से ही पैसों से बनाना पड़ता है?
ना सरकार तो मदद तो करे जी न। अचे अया घरे वणो बेन त खबर पड़े।
आप लोग कब से, आप बताएंगे मुझे, आपका छोटा बच्चा है, आप लोग को खाने पीने के लिए यहाँ सुविधा मिल रही है? आप क्या काम करते हैं मुझे बताइए? I'll speak to this gentleman who is sitting here and who was just feeding his cattle here. दादा, क्या काम करते हैं बताइए?
हम मच्छी मारते हैं।
मच्छी का काम करते हैं।
हम वाके रहे।
तो अभी क्या लग रहा है इस तूफान, अभी तो तूफान पूरी तरीके से आया भी नहीं है, क्या लग रहा है, बहुत नुकसान होने वाला है?
क्या पता, हम तो गांव गए नहीं है मोडुआ। अब जाएंगे तो पता लगेगा कि घर पे क्या हुआ है क्या नहीं हुआ है। अभी तो बाहर नहीं निकल सकते, तो घर का क्या पता लगाएंगे। हमारी बोटों है सब वहाँ दरिया में पड़ी है।
बोट आपकी दरिया में पड़ी है? तो वो
में
लकड़ी की बोट है, लग रहा है इस तरीके का तूफान झेल जाएगी?
वो लकड़े की नहीं है, फाइबर की बोट है, सबकी है, हमारी एक की नहीं है। ये जो सब आगे बैठे है ना, ये सबकी बोटें वहाँ पे पड़ी है। सबका घर छोड़कर हम यहाँ पे आ गए। अभी कोई यहाँ पे दिक्कत नहीं है, सब खाने पीने का रहने का अच्छा से इस्तेमाल कर रहा है।
अब घर का कुछ नहीं पता
ना, घर को तो हम जा नहीं रहे, तो क्या पता लगेगा।
इधर ही है।
3 दिन से इधर ही है।
हाँ, 3 दिन से इधर ही है, घर पे गए भी नहीं है अभी।
और आप लोग का कमाई का पूरा जरिया ही है, आप लोग का मच्छी का जो व्यापार है,
हाँ।
उस पे तो कोई नुकसान लग रहा है होने वाला है?
अभी तो 3 महीने तक ऑफ ही है, समझ लो, मच्छी करने का मौका। अभी ये जो कड़िया काम है वो सब वो करेगी। अब 3 महीने से अभी ऑफ। अभी ये तो हवा बहुत लग रहा है, बहुत पानी भर चुका है उधर मोडुआ में, बहुत पानी भर चुका है।
तो नुकसान होगा?
नुकसान होगा, थोड़ा थोड़ा तो होगा ही नुकसान।
You know, so people are staying at the shelter homes, Vishnu, are anxious, and rightfully so, because these are the people who have left their homes 3-4 days back and they still do not know what condition they're.
जगह जगह पर रैंकिंग की जा रही है। अलग अलग जो इंस्टीट्यूट्स इसमें जो यहाँ पर संस्थाएं जुड़ी हैं, चाहे वो NDRF हो, SDRF हो, स्टेट पुलिस हो, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट की कुछ और फोर्सेस हैं, लोकल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन है, उन्होंने एक एक जगह अपनी अपनी पकड़ रखी है जहाँ पर वो लोगों की मदद करेंगे। लेकिन ये मदद वो रात में इस अंधेरे में कर ही नहीं पाएंगे, क्योंकि उन्हें अपने भी जान की सुरक्षा करनी है, अपने लोगों को भी रिस्क में नहीं डालना है। तो जब कल सुबह उजाला होगा तब कहीं ना कहीं जो लोगों को बचाने या जहाँ पर भी कोई ज़रूरत होगी वो किया जाएगा। तो 2 से 3 घंटे काफ़ी अहम है। और जैसे कि आपने कहा, ये जो एक बार ये तूफान निकल जाएगा उसके बाद ही हम ये बता पाएंगे कि हम कितने तैयार हैं। प्रशासन की ओर से संकेत आपको बता दें कि उनकी सतर्कता बहुत बड़े पैमाने पर सही साबित हुई है। समुद्र के पास जितने लोग थे उन्हें हटाना बहुत अच्छा रहा है, क्योंकि अब जो समुद्र की जो लहरें हैं वो ऊंची तो हुई हैं, साथ ही साथ वो जो ये तट है उसे पार करके काफ़ी आगे आ गई हैं। जो वहाँ पर जो घर हैं उस पर भी इसका प्रभाव ज़रूर पड़ा है। वहाँ पर जो दुकानें थीं, जो ठेले थे, वो तो पानी में बह गए हैं। तो सुबह शायद तस्वीर और साफ हो, और इस तरह से क्योंकि आने वाले जो आधा 1 घंटा है उसमें तेज़ हवा और होने वाली है, तो प्रभाव और बढ़ेगा और इसका असर भी और होने वाला है। और ये केवल एक जगह पर जहाँ पर हम हैं वहाँ की बात नहीं है। द्वारका में हमने देखा किस तरह के हालात हैं। जामनगर में मैं आपको बता दूं, वहाँ पर मवेशियों को जहाँ पर रखा गया था उसके ऊपर ही पेड़ गिर गया, जिसके बाद NDRF ने वहाँ पर इन मवेशियों को बचाने का काम किया। ये एक उदाहरण है। इस तरह से और भी कई जगहों पर हालात हुए हैं, लेकिन क्योंकि अंधेरा है अब कुछ नहीं किया जा सकेगा। लोगों को सुरक्षित स्थानों पर इसलिए पहले रहने कहा गया है, और लोग भी यहाँ पर कहीं ना कहीं नियमों का पालन करते दिख रहे हैं। जिस तरह से हम कोरोना में या दूसरी जगह पर हम दिखाते थे कि पूरे के पूरे शहर गांव खाली है, कोई बाहर नहीं निकल रहा है, यहाँ पर भी लोगों ने उन नियमों को माना है। या तो उनके पक्के मकान हैं तो वो मकानों के अंदर हैं, या फिर सरकार की ओर से जो यहाँ पर उनके लिए तैयारियाँ की गई हैं वहाँ पर वो चले गए हैं। ना कोई सड़क पर है, ना ही कोई अपने मकानों के बाहर निकल रहा है। और एक बार फिर से हम बताते हैं, सुरक्षित स्थानों पर ना ही किसी समुद्र के पास, ना ही किसी पेड़ के नीचे, और ना ही किसी स्टूडियो के पास से ये रिपोर्टिंग कर रहे हैं। ज़मीन पर सुरक्षित स्थान में जो सरकार की ओर से मीडिया के लिए भी नियम बनाए गए हैं उसका पालन करते हुए खबर ला रहे हैं। और तेज हवा और भारी बारिश का असर आपको गुजरात के इन समुद्री तटों पर देखने मिल रहा है। संकेत।
All right, that's my colleague Sohit Mishra reporting over there. We'll come back to Sohit in just a moment from now. But what I think we can do now for the next little while is just bring you footage of what the situation on the ground over here is. These are some live visuals which are now coming in. I'm slightly unclear of the location, but it's all happening now in Gujarat, in the Saurashtra area. There is a red alert on and landfall has taken place shortly after 6:30 p.m. this evening. The bulk of that landfall is now taking place. Just the Director General of the Inspector General of the National Disaster Relief Force, Mr. Narendra Bundela, with us at this stage. Mr. Bundela, what has been the impact of the storm so far?
So far we have not received any adverse report of loss of life and damage, specific damage. But Kachchh district is monitoring the situation very closely, and at the central level also MHA is monitoring it. And secondly, the cyclone is likely to completely enter the land side by midnight, and hopefully it will reduce its strength also. So we are monitoring it. So if there is any update, we will share with the media also.
Sir, where is the full landfall is still not over? A part of the cyclone is still at sea. Is that what you're saying?
Cyclone has already entered at around 6:30 p.m. And as per the forecast, it should be completely inside the land part of the continent by midnight.
And sir, so what you're actually telling us is important, that so far there is no report of loss of life, and so far you don't have very major announcements as far as damage is concerned. Could you give us an idea of the number of NDRF personnel you have deployed to deal with any eventuality? Tell us a little bit about what the men and women that you command are trained to do, where they are stationed, what they are seeing.
So we have deployed 18 teams across 9 districts in Gujarat, and we are equipped for flood water rescue, So different components are equipments are there, including the boats. They are equipped with those things also. In case of any flood event, rescue effort is required, we will respond to that. We are equipped for urban search and rescue. In case any collapse of the building, our team is technically trained with technical equipments to save the life if they are trapped inside the building. And third, we are also equipped for restoration work. Suppose a tree are falling, poles are falling, and if it is disrupting the communication, transport, so we will also be involved in clearing those things along with the state agencies.
Mr. Bundela, there are a lot of people, wherever there is electricity, watching this and are in those areas which have been affected. What is your message to them?
So, government has moved more than 1 lakh people out of the affected area to a safer place. So that's a big step government has taken, and DRF has also been involved in that. So hopefully the vulnerable population have already been shifted to safer place. So I think the damage to life or loss to property should be minimum. The efforts which have been taken by the state government.
That's very welcome. And sir, in terms of people who are in their houses, who are worried now, a lot of these areas would still be seeing very high winds in some of the cities in that area, in the Dwarka area, for example. What is your message to these residents who may be watching this?
So please listen to the government advisory, which is being shared frequently through the media, through messages also, and stay put inside your house till this cyclone is over. That is the safest place. And if there is any emergency, please call up the emergency helpline. And there will be someone from government agency to help you, and if required to evacuate also.
Mr. Bundela, what about communication services, by which I mean cell phone services, etc., etc.? That's so important at a time like this.
So my team is there in Kachchh district. I have been able to talk to them over cell phone. So far that has not been disrupted. But apart from that, we have another mode of communication in terms of radio frequencies and satellite phones also. So we will use that communication also if required.
Final question, sir. By communications, what about cell phone communication? To the best of your knowledge, in affected areas, is it still operational?
Can you please repeat what communication?
Sir, normal cell phone communications.
So that's what I said. I am able to talk to my officers there who are based in Bhuj right now. And we are able to communicate through cell phone. So I think the cell phone communication has not been disrupted so far.
That is so very important. Sir, it's going to be a long night for you and the men and women that you command in those areas, trying to protect lives. That's your job. Thank you very much for spreading this information with us in this important situation, important time. Let's go back to NDTV's Sohit Mishra. Let's just listen into what he's reporting.
इस पूरी खबर को हम हमारे दर्शकों के लिए ला रहे हैं.
All right, that is Sohit Mishra reporting from Manvi. Let's just cut back to Sohit. We're simultaneously broadcasting this on NDTV India and NDTV 24/7. He's just trying to, my colleague Sanket Upadhyay asking him a question just now, trying hard to listen in to that question, and he will be up with an answer in the next few moments.
बिल्कुल. और तबाही के लिए यहाँ पर प्रशासन की अगर बात करें संकेत, तो वो तैयार है. उनको जो लग रहा है जहाँ पर इसका असर होगा, कई ऐसे जगह हैं जहाँ पर पेड़ों के गिरने के चांसेस ज़्यादा हैं, तो उन टेरिटरीज को उन्होंने मार्क किया हुआ है प्रशासन ने. मैं आपके सवाल को सुन नहीं पाया पूरी तरीके से. जो ये भी एक चीज़ बता दें कि पानी का असर जो हमारे हेडफोन्स है उस पर भी पड़ता है, तो इसलिए मैं इस तरह से आपकी बातों को सुनने की कोशिश कर रहा था. तो बिल्कुल प्रशासन की ओर से अलग अलग तैयारियाँ. और देखिए संकेत, जैसे मैं कह रहा हूँ, भारी बारिश के साथ जब तेज़ हवाएं चलती हैं तो उसका एक अलग प्रभाव भी होता है. उसके जो जिस फोर्स से वो आपको लगती है वो भी बहुत अलग होती है. रही बात प्रशासन की, तो उन्होंने मार्क किया हुआ है उन घरों को जहाँ पे जो कच्चे घर हैं, उन जगहों पर जहाँ पर मवेशियाँ ज़्यादा हैं, और उन जगहों पर जहाँ पर पेड़ गिरने की आशंका है. और इन्हीं जगहों पर उनका फोकस जैसे ही सूर्य की पहली किरण सुबह निकलती है वो रहने वाली है. और जो डिज़ास्टर है या जो तबाही है, वो तबाही का किस तरह से असर कम से कम हो उसकी कोशिश प्रशासन करेंगे. और कल सुबह ही हम ये बता भी पाएंगे कि जो ये 4 घंटे की तूफान है या उससे पहले हम जो 4 दिनों से यहाँ पर तैयारी देख रहे हैं वो कितनी सफल रही है और प्रशासन ऐसे तूफानों से आगे लड़ने के लिए क्या कुछ करने वाली है, क्योंकि पश्चिमी तट पर आमतौर पर तूफान आते नहीं थे, लेकिन पिछले 3, 4, 5 सालों में जिस तरह से जितने ये तूफान बढ़ रहे हैं उससे समझ में आता है कि मौसम बदल रहा है और इस तरह के तूफान शायद भविष्य में और भी इस तरह से पश्चिमी तट पर देखने मिल सकते हैं।
All right, we'll come back to Sohit in just a moment from now, as you know, he just struggling to listen into what my colleague Sanket on NDTV India is asking him. We'll come back to him in just a moment from now. I'm joined by Professor Anil Gupta at the National Institute of Disaster Management, Dr. K.J. Ramesh, former Director General of the Indian Met Department, and Brigadier Vinod Datta, former Senior Consultant at the National Institute of Disaster Management. Professor Gupta, let me come to you first. I think the one good thing that we are getting out of all of this is what the NDRF Inspector General just mentioned to me 5 minutes back, that so far there is no loss of life which has been reported, and thus far not very major damage to property. Your initial thoughts on this phase of the cyclone hitting the Gujarat coast?
Yeah, this is a very important thing because this is the result of the past 3 days of intensive initiatives and advanced initiatives, and the way the coordination between central agencies, state agencies, and taking it to the local ground level change. And in fact, what we see this time, that the cooperation and involvement of communities and even the local volunteers, very timely, very well in advance, the people have been evacuated and taken to the shelter home. Even to the best possible effort has been done for taking the livestock also, because livestock damage to livestock is also a major concern. However, this is an issue that because the landfall was supposed to take place in the mid of the day.
Mr. Gupta, I'm just interrupting you for half a second. We've got the District Magistrate of Kachchh, Mr. Amit Arora. Mr. Arora, thanks very much for speaking to us. What is the situation on the ground right now? Mr. Arora, can you hear me? Mr. Arora, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're audible now.
Right. Could you just tell me what the situation on the ground is?
Yes, you're audible now. See, the wind speeds have increased. We are seeing rainfall almost everywhere because we are expecting landfall of the cyclone somewhere in the night today. But I think situation is well under control. There have been no major mishaps or any loss to life or property. We had done some timely evacuations. So, of course, we have some minor damages, like about 200 electric poles have been uprooted, about 250 trees have been uprooted. And because of that, and for precautionary sake also, we have had about 5 tehsils down right now to avoid any incident also. So, but I think we are well geared up for as far as water supply is concerned. We have 47 generators backing up our water supply. You were talking about communications. We have been coordinating with all the mobile tower agencies. We have Indus, we have Jio, we have BSNL. So we got interdepartmental roaming continued here till 17th of June. And we have installed over 500 generators across the district, small operators, small generators by mobile tower companies, with prioritizing the aggregate towers. So as of now, 100% communication is there in all the villages. There is no village where mobile connectivity is not there right now. So that's a good part, I guess. And I think, through the day, we should, cruise through. There has been no major casualty as far as livestock is concerned. As of now, we had shifted about 25,000 livestock to high ground. So I think we are all waiting for the impact, and once this cyclone is over, we would be assessing what damages have been done. Then we'll take appropriate measures.
Mr. Arora, just for the benefit of our understanding, the worst is yet to come, right? Or do you believe that the worst is already past us?
See, I think no. Of course, I mean it cannot be predicted. It can definitely not be predicted. But what I want to say is that we are well prepared to face whatever comes right now. The areas that were supposed to be mostly hit have been completely evacuated. We shifted around 52,000 people into shelter camps. The cattle, which is the major source of livelihood in the coastal talukas, have been shifted to high ground. And I think our basic approach was just two things. First, zero casualty. And second was to restore normalcy as soon as possible. So I think in the first phase, our only target is zero casualty and evacuation, ensuring medical facilities, keeping shelter home comfortable was the basic premise. Because if we make shelter home, so we have had generators involved, we have milk powders, we have about 5,000 liters of milk in shelter camps. So, we could carry out the evacuation smoothly. I'm just, glad to say we had about 512 pregnant women when the cyclone evacuation started. 274 have successfully given birth to babies in hospitals because we admitted all of them into hospital.
One second, let me interrupt you now. This is fascinating. 274 women have given birth.
Yes.
When? Between which period? Between yesterday and today?
2 days before. I mean, in the last 2 days. When we started the evacuation.
That's remarkable. 274 women
when we started
who were pregnant of 500 odd women who you evacuated to higher ground 2 days back have successfully delivered babies. Is that right?
Yes. No, not admitted them to higher ground. We admitted them to medical facilities. They were all institutional births. We admitted them to sub-district hospitals. We admitted 512 ladies to sub-district hospital. Out of that, 274 have given birth and have gone home. Remaining are still admitted. And because we had admitted all the ladies that had their due date before 20th of June.
That's such a remarkable story.
We are trying
that is truly remarkable. As a precautionary measure, you'd shifted them to a hospital, and so many of them have given birth. So in the midst of this potential devastation, there is new life amidst us. And, that's just wonderful. But if you're talking about healthcare and first responders, what is the situation that you have right now in terms of first responders, or if there is a distress call?
Yes. I mean, if you might have seen a viral video also, one of the shelter homes had a number of children in them. So about 20, 30. So what we did was we also understand when there is a cyclone, when there is an evacuation, the people who are affected the most are the children. So there were two things we did. One, we allotted Anganwadi workers to shelter homes. So normally Anganwadi workers are not used in evacuation, but what we did was we, established Anganwadi workers in all our shelter homes. First, that was the first thing. Second, we deputed one doctor each in each of the shelter homes. So there have been a few viral videos also where Anganwadi workers are doing preschool activities with the children in the shelter homes. So as far as first responders, healthcare is concerned, I think, medical facilities, we have just been augmenting the medical facilities in these three talukas. We deputed doctors from outside. We have got a lot of support from the IMA, about 52 specialists they have, nominated, who are now on call available in our government three government hospitals.
Sure.
We have got about 20 medical officers from outside the districts. They are deputed there. And we have permanent medical teams there. In fact, we are even, it's an opportunity also. We are running medical camps in shelter homes. So our medical staff is just screening the people in shelter homes. So it's helping us also, just to, have another round of health checkup. And there have been two very nice videos where, our Anganwadi, just to, make the children comfortable, are singing nursery rhymes with their preschool Gujarati rhymes with the children. So see, we had, in fact, we made sure two more things. They're very small, but I think it mattered to us. We got about 2,000 kgs of milk powder from Mehsana Dairy 2 days back. We got 5,000 liters of packed milk from Mehsana Dairy, bulk imported here, just for the children of our shelter homes. That was one. Second, most of the children here sleep in ghodiyas. Ghodiyas are small structures that are made by hanging bed sheets with hanging bed sheets on two sides. So we ensured we put 2 to 3 ghodiyas in every shelter home so that if there are infants, they can at least sleep peacefully. We have generator installed of 5 kVs. We got generators of 5 kVs from nearby 5 districts above. We have generator right now in every shelter home so that none of the shelter home is in darkness. At least there is light when they want to have food, etc. We got 1500 battery operated bulbs. They are bulbs you attach to the holder, they have the room. We got that.
This is just truly incredible, and just looking after children, mothers who've just delivered babies, it all looks so wonderful, and let's hope it continues like this. You've got a long night ahead of you, and all the officers working overtime, healthcare workers, doctors, police, fire brigade, and of course rescuers from the services. Thank you so much for sharing so many, stories with us. Stories in a time of what could be a catastrophe. Let's hope it all goes well for us. I'm going to go back now to our correspondent, Tanushri Datta, who's got more details for us. Tanushri, could you tell us a little bit about what's happening around you? Do we have Tanushri? Tanushri, go ahead. All right, sorry, apologies, we don't have Tanushri. We'll try and get her back in a moment from now. But let me just also go across to let me go across to Dr. KJ Ramesh. Dr. Ramesh, this is a remarkable story, a series of stories which the district magistrate of Kachchh was telling us that of 500, so many points, but the one that really struck me, 500 plus women who were approaching their due date were moved to healthcare facilities, hospitals, etc., just as a precautionary move. And then we've got 274 new Indians in the world in the middle of this crisis. That shows a remarkable amount of planning in advance. And that really has to be complimented.
Truly innovative way of anticipating the crisis and identifying a solution beforehand. Even he could get the details of their expected dates of delivery before 20th June. And so much forward-looking and caring person he is. I think this is the first time such a thing has happened. Very impressive step taken by the DM Kachchh. Wonderfully done.
No, absolutely.
Never done in India.
Now, I never heard of anything like this. Brigadier Datta, the other point. In India. Brigadier Datta, the other point which really struck me from what he was saying, and I'd hasten to add, this is one district magistrate. There are several district magistrates who would be working very hard, coordinating their efforts, and perhaps we'll see a lot of this being replicated in other areas. But the other point he told me is that they've thought up a way to ensure that nursery rhymes for children in shelters get recited, get told, because children would get worried, so they wanted to focus on the mental well-being of children. This is another remarkable step, but it's such an important one.
Yeah, Vishnu, I think it's a very, very commendable job which the District Collector Kachchh has done. And what you are telling is that the community is being looked after. The people are now reaching out to the masses and especially the officers. And this is a very good idea of nursery rhymes because वो हिंदी में कहावत है ना कि जब डर लगे तो गाना गा. So the moment you are in a crisis, you see, firstly, there's a lot of josh and junoon that is to be created and people have to be kept together. And this is one of the best way because music is one very motivating factor. It not only infuses, a lot of josh, a lot of confidence, and it brings up the morale also of the people. And that is what, they should be doing. So that people stay in community, they stay stronger, and they can, face this adversity, which will be, passing through very soon. And it's really very commendable. And now since Arabian Sea is becoming a cyclone breeder, because from 1998 to 2001, 46% rise in cyclones have taken place in Arabian Sea. So I'm sure Gujarat is going to replicate what Odisha is doing it. And, Odisha is a success story. Andhra is a success story as far as cyclones is concerned. And I'm sure Gujarat is also going to replicate it. And the case in point is what DM Kachchh had said. And it is so heartening to see that, yes, they are for people and they are, giving their best so that people can be saved and they can be evacuated.
Dr. Anjali Quatra, Director General for the Center for Disaster Risk and Safety with us. Dr. Quatra, another point which the District Magistrate of Kachchh was telling us is that they've made a very proactive effort of moving, the number was large, if I recall correctly, it's 25,000 cattle, livestock to higher ground. Now, again, this is important and it's difficult in terms of infrastructure to actually organize this. But the thinking was very simple. If you don't protect livestock, then you're destroying the lives of people who depend on it. So as a step, isn't this, one of the hallmarks of what we've seen so far?
Very true, because the people who have been evacuated, who have been living in these coastal areas, they're mostly poor people. And they live in a subsistence economy. And their sustenance is dependent on, including food, clothing, shelter. It can all be damaged. In fact, it's been severely disrupted by the storm. And, it may have long-term and short-term effects. Most of these are to be seen. These will be studied the day after now. So for them, their livestock is the main source of income and livelihood. And secondly, it is also important to move the cattle because, dying cattle can be a source of contamination of the area. The water bodies can get contaminated, the dead bodies, and can lead to epidemics. So it is very vital to safeguard these the stray animals even. Because, as I said, they can lead to a lot of problems later on. Because immediately, the cyclone is still to pass. And, the survey of the damage will be seen maybe the day after only. And a lot of non-engineered structures they are liable to break and get destroyed. So the effects can be multifold, which we'll be seeing later on. Of course, the preparedness that is being seen in terms of response and evacuation and the shelters, this is commendable. Sure. And it has improved over the years in our country because of
and that's an important point. I wanted to go across to Professor Gupta about that. Many years ago, we had the Odisha super cyclone where we lost tens of thousands, if I recall correctly, of our citizens. Yes. And then, we seemed the entire system failed at so many levels. And then, you've got a system today where you and I are in a position where we can start having a discussion on how nursery rhymes are being sung for children in sheltered homes. The entire process of A, detecting cyclones, B, reacting to cyclones, C, the establishment of the National Disaster Relief Force, which I believe are some of the key steps which have just changed the way India responds to this sort of threat. Would you agree?
I totally agree with your observations because India made a organizational shift and much more proactive effort. And at present, the India's disaster management system is much more organized. In fact, it has become an example for several other countries also. Many of the countries in Asia Pacific followed this approach and this model. Second thing I would also like to bring in reference that each major disaster leaves us with some important lessons. How effectively we use those lessons in improving our disaster risk management and preparedness is very, very important. As you rightly pointed out about the super cyclone of 1999, that was a devastating one and it had a lot of casualties. But later, there has been a phenomenal change. But now also, each and every major disaster is analyzed once the disaster is over. And there is a process of post-disaster damage and need assessment, as well as the documentation of disaster. The documentation leads to important lessons. For example, Taute certainly should be brought into context because Taute had hit the area of Gujarat, almost the similar area. The whatever lessons of the dealing with Taute just 2 years back in Gujarat and the nearby areas have been put into practice and improving the local level, the preparedness, the bringing of the shelter homes, and also not the shelter homes, the casual kind of shelter homes, but much more effective and the equipped with the facilities that we are witnessing now. And the most important thing is the synergy and the much in advance cooperation between all the agencies, horizontal and vertical. Vertical, I would say that central government, state government, district administration, and the local community, as well as the volunteers like Swayam Sevak Sangh and many other civil society organizations. The horizontal, they all across, even they between the states also, like besides Gujarat, the state of Rajasthan and other places are also getting affected. The state of Maharashtra also got affected. So there has been much better and much advanced cooperation and coordination between agencies, between states, between governments.
Absolutely. So I couldn't agree more. Sir, I'm interrupting you because I want to quickly go across to my colleague Priyanshi, who's sort of tracking where exactly the cyclone is right now. Go ahead, Priyanshi.
We are coming to you from the Met Department's control room that has been tracking the path of Cyclone Biparjoy. There you can see there are systems here in place that have been tracking Cyclone Biparjoy for the past few days, and they've been providing updates on the journey of the cyclone. We have with us the IMD DG, Mr. Mohapatra, now joining us live. Thanks very much, sir, for joining us. So first, the cyclone has now made landfall. So what can we expect later in the day? Till when will it go on, and which all paths will it impact?
Yeah, cyclone is in the process of landfall. It will continue the entire landfall process by midnight of today. It is moving in northeast directions. After landfall, it will continue to move in northeast directions and weaken gradually. At the time of landfall, wind speed is 115 to 125 kmph, gusting to 140 kmph. By tomorrow morning, that is by 16th, it will become a cyclonic storm with wind speed of about 75 to 85 kilometers per hour. And thereafter, continuing its northeast direction movement, it will enter into Rajasthan. By 17th early morning, it will be over Rajasthan as a depression. So therefore, if you just look at the path and the intensity of the system, so maximum impact is expected over Gujarat, especially coastal Saurashtra and Kachchh. And in terms of the heavy rainfall, heavy to extremely heavy rainfall, then winds leading to structural damages, and also storm surge leading to local inundation in the coastal districts. So the rainfall also can lead to the localized flooding, because we are expecting rainfall more than 20 or 25 centimeters in certain places in the coastal districts of Saurashtra and Kutch, especially starting with Porbandar, Dwarka, Jamnagar, Morve and Kachchh districts. Then in remaining parts of Saurashtra also can have similar situation depending upon the physiographical characteristics of the place. So when we move towards Rajasthan, there also we are expecting heavy to extreme heavy rainfall in Rajasthan, especially South Rajasthan. We can also expect localized flooding or inundations. So we are continuously updating, but the peak period of the damage or devastation over the coastal areas of Saurashtra and Kutch will be up to midnight. Thereafter, it will improve gradually.
The peak will be midnight, and after that it will start decimating. So sir, you're saying it will go on till the 17th. So will it impact only two states, Gujarat and Rajasthan, as you've mentioned, or will there be impact in other states as well?
The maximum impact will be over Gujarat, followed by Rajasthan. And after that also the depression will further weaken into a low pressure area. It will move towards central part of the country, and hence there could be rainfall activity over MP and adjoining areas. Right. We are also expecting isolated heavy rainfall over Madhya Pradesh.
Right. And so one more question. This year, as you've mentioned, that the wind speed has been around 120 for the cyclone Biparjoy, but we've seen that in the past, cyclone Taukte had a higher wind speed. So when we measure the impact of this cyclone, how does it compare in terms of intensity with the previous cyclones that this coast has seen and that our country has seen at large?
Cyclone Taukte was an extremely severe cyclone storm with wind speed of 180 kilometers per hour. And this is a very severe cyclone storm, and wind speed is 125, gusting up to 140 kilometers per hour. That means there is a difference of wind of about 40 to 50 kilometers per hour. and therefore the damaging potential of this cyclone is less as compared to extremely severe cyclone storm Taute. But however, since it is in the phase of monsoon advance, therefore it has a lot of moisture, so it can give very good rainfall activity, and it is moving slow also. Therefore, you can expect localized flooding and inundations, especially in the districts of Saurashtra and Kachchh.
Right, but when we talk about the damage, Taukte, as all of us remember, caused a lot of damage. Close to 100 people lost their lives also, and property was damaged as well. So will the impact of Cyclone Biparjoy be much less than that?
It is not much less, because it is still a very severe cyclone storm. It can lead to uprooting of big trees and breaking of tree branches, uprooting or bending of the telephone poles, electric poles. It can also have large-scale damage on the huts, slums, the tin houses, asbestos houses, the old pakka houses. So therefore, there could be damage in such vulnerable zones. But in addition to that, there could be hoardings which can be detached. The boats can be detached from the mooring. There could be damage to the ships and boats, etc., if care is not taken. Therefore, what we did actually, we provided warning long back. From 6th onwards, we are providing the marine community all types of warning. Fishermen have been advised not to venture into sea, and all actions are being taken by state and central government for the offshore operations, onshore operations. In that area, there are a number of ports, number of industries, and number of oil exploration companies. So therefore, all these are being provided very location-specific forecast from India Meteorological Department for this particular cyclone.
All right. Well, in case you're just joining us, Cyclone Biparjoy has made landfall a couple of hours back. At this stage, according to the District Magistrate of Kachchh and the Inspector General of the National Disaster Relief Force, there is no loss of life. And it's not over yet. Still several hours before the entire impact can be assessed. At the moment, no loss of life, no serious report of damage anywhere. That's the situation right now. Cell phone services still continue, and at least in most of the areas that these officers were looking at, they work just fine. Communication during a natural disaster, so very important. We'll take a short break, come back with more. All right, welcome back. If you're joining us just now, the big story we continue to track, the impact of the very severe cyclone Biparjoy, which has now hit Gujarat. At the moment, no loss of life, fortunately, no major loss of property either. There are remarkable stories which we've been told on how the state government has managed to bring a lot of people, thousands of people, into shelters, how 500 women were identified a couple of days back in an advanced stage of pregnancy, who were taken to primary healthcare centers, in fact all to hospitals, and in the last 2 days 274 have successfully delivered babies, at a time when otherwise they could have been in a bad situation had they not been evacuated. All of that and a lot more, but first let's just listen into what my colleague Sohit Mishra had to report from the ground just a little while back.
मैं और मेरे जो सीनियर वीडियो जर्नलिस्ट हैं राजेंद्र दयालकर, हम एक सुरक्षित स्थान से जो भी अपडेट्स हैं वो ला रहे हैं, लेकिन जैसे कि आप देख सकते हैं जो हवा है वो बहुत तेज है यहाँ पर, और इससे ये पता चला है या जो जानकारी अब तक हमें मिल पाई है वो ये है कि आई ऑफ द स्टॉर्म, जिसे जो मुख्य भाग है इस पूरे चक्रवाती तूफान का, वो अब तट से टकराने वाला है और इसका असर साफ तौर पर देखने मिल रहा है। जैसे जैसे हम बात कर रहे हैं वैसे वैसे तूफान बढ़ता जा रहा है, और भारी बारिश क्योंकि तेज हवा के साथ होती है संकेत, तो उसका असर बड़े पैमाने पर देखने मिल रहा है। इसलिए ना ही हम किसी समुद्र के पास में हैं और ना ही ऐसे किसी पेड़ के पास में हैं जहां पर खतरा रहे, क्योंकि सरकार और प्रशासन की ओर से भी ये एक गाइडलाइन जारी की गई है कि क्या कुछ करना। और जैसे कि आपने कहा, ना ही हम किसी स्टूडियो में हैं ज़मीन पर, लेकिन सुरक्षित स्थान से ये जो पूरी कवरेज है वो NDTV अपने दर्शकों के लिए कर रही है, और जो भारी बारिश और साथ ही साथ जो तेज़ हवा है उसका असर देखने मिल रहा है। संकेत, जहाँ पर हम हैं बिजली वहाँ पर बिल्कुल नहीं है, इस पूरे गांव में बिजली नहीं है, और इसका असर भी यहाँ पर होगा। हम जिस जगह पर रुके हैं उन्होंने अब जनरेटर का इंतज़ाम किया। जब उन्हें पता चला कि यहाँ पर आके हम रिपोर्टिंग कर रहे हैं तो उन्होंने खुद एक जनरेटर का इंतज़ाम किया जहाँ पर हम हैं, लेकिन उसके अलावा इस पूरे गाँव में, इस पूरे शहर में जो समुद्री तट के पास है, क्योंकि तेज़ हवाएं हैं तो इसका असर यहाँ पर जो बिजली के खंभे थे उस पर पड़ा है, बिजली के तारों पर पड़ा है, और इसलिए जो बिजली आने वाले कुछ घंटों तक यहाँ पर नहीं रहने वाली है।
All right, well, let's go straight across now to my colleague Tanushri Pandey, who's been reporting from various shelter homes. She's also been speaking to a lot of people who, who are elderly, who've been in a state of distress. So far, everything seems to be working in terms of healthcare, of rescuers. No loss of life so far, but the worst may not necessarily be over so far. We're all keeping our fingers crossed. The next few hours will be absolutely critical.
We are right now inside the shelter home in Gujarat's Kachchh region, where Cyclone Biparjoy is going to make a landfall between 7 to 8 p.m. this evening. Now, as per the IMD, it's also going to bring along severe rainfall and a storm which is going to swarm the region. And that's why a red alert has been issued across the state. More than 75,000 people have been evacuated only in the Kachchh region where we are right now. More than 10,000 people have been evacuated and brought into shelter homes. Just about 5 kilometers from here is the Kachchh port, which has been shut. And that's the place, that's the area where the cyclone Biparjoy is going to make a landfall. Now I'm sitting with a couple. It's a 70-year-old couple. And they have witnessed many cyclones in their life. And this is the third time that they find themselves again living in a sheltered home. And they have told me that twice before this, their houses have been devastated. We'll talk to them and understand more about their story. आप लोगों का बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया हमसे इस वक्त पे बात करने के लिए. नाम बताइए, आपका नाम क्या है?
नाम आसान जो है हवा भाई.
हवा भाई, आपका नाम क्या है?
उस्मान.
आप लोग की उम्र कितनी होगी?
आसान की उम्र 70.
और आपकी कितनी होगी? अच्छा, तो आप मुझे ये बताइए, इनको थोड़ा अगर आप समझा दें कि इससे पहले आप लोगों ने इतना साल गुजार लिया, इससे पहले इससे भी बहुत बड़े बड़े तूफान देखे हैं क्या?
तो तीन बार आए हुए तूफान आयो कि नहीं आयो?
तूफान तक घणे आया हैं ये वो 95 में अठाणु.
तो आप लोग तब भी यहीं पे आके रहते थे, इस तरीकों के घरों में, शेल्टर होम्स में रहते थे?
ये तो कच्चा मकान है.
नहीं तो कच्चे मकान है नु तो वरी जखा पे आयूं बड़ी लाले हेरारे आयूं नरिए 5-6 बेरा एडा आया हैं.
क्या बोल रहे हैं, थोड़ा समझा दीजिए.
ये यहीं पे आए, पहली बार है, कच्चे मकान में रहते थे वो ऐसे.
हाँ, तो इससे पहले जब तूफान आता था, इनको समझाइए कि क्या इनका कच्चा मकान हर बार टूट जाता है?
कच्चा मकान वारी गई टूटी पोंदो से
नलिया ने उड़ी जाए.
नलिया टूटी पे छणी पे मकान टूटी वने टूटी पे मकान वाबड़ो हुई तो तूफान में तो कच्चा मकान पक्का मकान नहीं ना.
पक्का मकान नहीं है और कच्चा मकान टूट जाता है,
गिर जाता है, नड़ी उड़ जाते थे,
सब उड़ जाता है.
सब उड़ जाते थे.
तो आप लोग कितनी बार अपना घर वापस बना चुके हैं?
कितनी घर बनाए?
मैं 3 बार बनाया.
3 बार बना चुके हैं.
3 बार अपना घर आप वापस बना चुके हैं. तो इतने तूफान आ गए कि आपको 3 बार अपना घर वापस बनाना पड़ा है. तो इसमें सरकार कोई मदद करती है कि आप लोग खुद ही बनाते हैं?
सरकार
नहीं है.
खुद की मेहनत से बना रहे हो?
बने लो है,
खुद से बना रहे हैं.
खुद से बने लो है.
तो आप
कुछ नहीं मिल रहा है, बोल रहे हो?
सरकार की तरफ से नहीं मिल रहा है. तो किस तरीके से आप लोग के घर पे क्या आप काम करते हैं, बता पाएंगे मुझे?
एक और काम करो.
बकरी ने खेती
करते हैं, खेती बाड़ी करते हैं. खेती बाड़ी करके इतना पैसा निकल पाता है कि तूफान से जो घर टूटता है उसको बना पाए?
खेतीवाड़ी में आटले आज आवक बराबर कि मकान बनाई सको?
खेतीवाड़ी में वरसाद थी पे खेतीवाड़ी तो मेरा प्रति महीने
बारिश होता तो अच्छा हो जाता है, आमदनी अच्छी हो जाती है.
तो सामान टूटते के वरसाद माथे वरसाद थी तो खेतीवाड़ी में मौत मेरा सरी बने.
क्या बोल रहे हैं?
ज्यादा बारिश होता तो मोल खराब हो जाता है, ऐसे बोल रहे हो?
ज्यादा बारिश हो जाता है तो पूरा जो पूरा आप लोग का धान गेहूं है वो सब खराब हो जाता है. किस चीज का खेती करते हैं?
खेती टमाटर बाजर ग्वार तेरा मूंग काजू मेरे खेती में मेरा काम सरी पे
तल वगैरह से उसकी खेती करते हैं. बारिश के ऊपर है, बारिश के ऊपर डिपेंड है.
तो अभी जो आज इतनी तेज बारिश आएगी, खेती तो कपास तो पूरा खराब हो जाएगा.
हाँ, उनका तो सब पूरा हो गया.
खेती में भर्ती रहे सारी आप खेती में
बोने का टाइम अभी अब आएगा.
नहीं तो अभी आज जो बारिश आने वाली है उससे क्या पूरा खराब हो जाएगा खेती?
નીચે તો એવર વરસાદ આજી તો ખેતી આજી ખરાબ થઈ ને એવર કી પોકા ના આવ્યો ના કુछ બોયા नहीं उस जमीन
हाणे वरसाद हाणे पोखा
के बाद वो लोग क्लियर कर
वरी पोखे के ना मी बचे वरी सरी पे
बारिश होएगी नहीं तो ही वो करते नहीं तो
और आप लोगों का घर जो है आपने मुझे बताया कि कच्चा मकान है, वो कच्चा मकान खराब हो जाएगा, टूट जाएगा वापस?
पीछे तक कच्चा मकान टूट भी क्लियर बनाएगा ना ने हां
मोल कारियो ने काम कारियो का मोल मजदूरी में जा करेंगे बनाएंगे बेकर में जा बनाए।
क्या बोल रहे हैं?
मजदूरी करके बना लेते पैसा, मजदूरी करने के लिए चले जाते
और आज वो घर टूट जाएगा वापस?
तो वो बना लेंगे, वो बोल रहे हैं मजदूरी कर लेंगे, वो बोल रहे हैं
वो
मजदूरी करना पड़ेगा आपको, इस उम्र में भी मजदूरी करके घर बनाना पड़ेगा।
मजदूरी कर वो
लड़के है उसके, लड़के भी है, छोकरा हो गई ना
वो खेती
लड़के भी
तो कुछ पिछली कितनी बार कितने तूफान देखे हैं आपने? पिछले तीन बोला आपने, 3 तूफान। तो अभी आज क्या लग रहा है कि ये तूफान उनसे खराब होने वाला है कि ये ज्यादा असर नहीं करेगा?
तूफान असर कह दो के वांधो ना
यार वांधो न करे तो दरिया में
बोल रहे कि ज्यादा असर नहीं करेगा हम लोगों को, पहले भी देख चुके इसलिए उसको ज्यादा डर नहीं लग रहा, कैसे निकल जाएगा।
और आप लोग हर बार अपना घर छोड़ के यहाँ आते हैं तो क्या घर तो आप लोग का टूट जाता है, तो घर में जो सामान है पूरा सामान यहाँ लेकर आते हैं?
सामान नहीं बंदा खड़ी है बेगा मिलते
सामान मिले तो क्या खाए,
सब लोग नहीं लेके आते, जो जरूर है वो कीमती जो वो लेके आते, बाकी कैसे रखते,
बाकी वहीं घर पे छोड़ जाता है और घर टूट जाता है और हर बार मजदूरी करके उसको वापस बनाते हैं।
सामान तो वहीं
छोड़ के आ जाते हैं, जो कीमती होता है वो लेके आते,
बाकी नहीं सामान क्या करे, बाकी की ना करे हेर पर हेडा आया तूफान तो आवे नहीं आवे तो चालू है,
आएगा तो आएगा, हमको कोई ज्यादा वो नहीं है,
दरिया किनारा है तो
दरिया किनारे पे रहते हैं,
पानी उछड़ी आया हुए तो गांव
बता मेरा खानी में आई नहीं
दरिया दूर है।
लोग ऐसे बोल रहे, ऐसे 2-3 बार तूफान आ गया मगर इतना ज्यादा नुकसान नहीं हुआ है, मकान गिरते, बाकी आदमी की कोई वो नहीं होता,
आदमी की कोई
जाना नहीं होती मतलब यहाँ पे।
So every time a storm comes, every time a cyclone hits this region of Gujarat, their Kachchh house completely collapse. But still, they have a smile on their face and they are saying that every time their house completely collapses, they again go back, they again do the work, do the hard work in fact, and they rebuild their house from the scratch. So this is their life and this is their story. And we have many such stories. People who have been living in the shelter homes, people who have been starving, people who have to again go back to see their house completely devastated, completely collapsed, and they have to again build it from the scratch. This is the hardship, this is the struggle of people living along the coastal lines, especially in the state of Gujarat. And today again, another cyclone, Cyclone Biparjoy, which is said to be one of the most deadliest cyclone this country will ever witness, is going to make a landfall at the Kachchh port, just about 5 kilometers from here. And once again, these families who have seen at least 3 cyclones in the past, once again these families are forced to live in the shelter homes. We are bringing you their story of struggle, hardship and also hope. With camera person Govind in Kachchh, I'm Tanushree Pandey reporting for NDTV.